with Bridget Riedel, your ag industry expert. Tune in for Bridget's Ag News updates each weekday here on WDAY.
They'll have you laughing right along with them. They're Bonnie and Friends.
We've had enough shoveling. We're sick of it.
Yeah, I'm done.
You just got your snowblower fixed and you need to give it a workout.
Oh, Shields was so good. They found a little nut that had fallen off the drive axle.
They found you mean, he's a little nut, all right. What'd they do with you, Jeff?
That's the end of that story.
Did they screw it back
where he belongs.
That's it. I'm not telling the rest. I'm done.
Bonnie and Friends. Catch them weekday mornings beginning at 5.
970 WDAY AM and 93.1 FM. Fargo Moorhead.
And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki along with Meteorologist Justin Storm. We're missing somebody today. Where'd she go?
Bridget was so upset that she missed out on the pig fry yesterday that she said she wasn't showing up for Weather and Ag in Focus today. So that way she could get in line for all the funnel cakes and the pig and the corn on a stick. Yeah, she's having a bunch of fun up there.
Yeah, and she's actually on her way down to New Orleans for National Cattlemen's Beef Association. She's going to be one of the guest speakers down there tomorrow. So she's busy going all over the place. But, boy, I'll tell you, the weather's not busy outside of it being cold, man.
I don't know about you, Dean. I thought it was beautiful out there.
You're nuts.
Sunny skies.
Yeah. Sunny skies,
30
below wind chill?
Terrible.
30 below wind chill?
31?
Come on. Oh, man. Yeah, at least it's not like it is in northern Maine. 56 below wind chills there. So, yeah, it's and we're not dealing with the ice down in Texas and Arkansas, so that's good there. But, like you said, at least we're seeing a lot of sunshine out there today. Nothing but bluebird skies and frigid temperatures, though, and tonight, man, it's not going to be the coldest night of the season, but it's not going to be far off. Expecting a low near 22 below. Our coldest of the season, I believe, is 25 below we touched, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll be flirting with that, but nowhere near record. I believe the record is 30. Yeah, it's 36 below. That would be just absolutely brutal. So we're not dealing with record cold temperatures, but we are dealing with cold weather all the way through tomorrow. Winds pick up tomorrow out of the south, so even though we'll be a touch warmer, it's going to feel just as cold with wind chills between 20 and 30 below most of the day tomorrow. Thus, that's why there's a wind chill advisory that continues in effect all the way through tomorrow. But there's good news for the weekend, isn't there, Justin?
Oh, there is some very nice news for the weekend and even into next week, and we'll leave it at that for now. We'll touch on that forecast coming up during the show. But, Dean, you were talking about, it's, not record cold, but we're kind of around there. Or not record cold, not coldest of the season, but we're kind of around there with 22 below zero tonight. And, what do we always say? Anytime it's going to get cold or it's going to snow, just go big or go home.
Right. Well, we're not going to be able to set a record, but at least get the coldest of the season. But like you said, there's great news around the corner. I think most everybody's going to like what's in the forecast after we get through tomorrow. It's good news after that.
Here's a question. This goes to you and to the listeners with the big ice storm going down in Texas. I mean, I've already seen a few pictures of people in their vehicles flying 80 miles an hour down the road.
Oh, yeah.
They hit ice and they start spinning out. But how do you think this is going to affect electricity prices heating up here? Are we going to see increase in price because of the demand? Did they learn from the last ice storm that they had to
I think they did.
Source energy in beforehand?
Yeah, I think they did. And, that's something that, speaking of which, that the LRC would be very good for. When we know these cold air outbreaks are coming, these electric companies could purchase this energy in advance so they don't end up having blackouts or brownouts or whatever.
Right, exactly.
That's another good.
And Dean, speaking of the LRC,
yes,
why don't we touch on that a little bit for what we're expecting here into the middle of February?
Okay, how about
and what the models are now kind of picking up on when we come back from our break.
That's what I was going to say. We've got to pay some bills first, and then when we come back, we'll talk about the LRC. We're going to be giving away a rain gauge today. I've got a trivia question. This is going to be a tough one. I don't think many people are going to be able to get this. And watch, somebody will get it on the first call. But I'll have that question.
It's that Little Tikes barn toy.
That's it. Let's see. Jacob, you got to put the slider up on my. We'll get that. Yeah, we'll get that and more coming back right after the break.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. In the wake of recent mass shootings, California Governor Gavin Newsom wants to ban people from carrying guns in nearly all public places. He says his state is leading the nation in gun safety.
We're saving lives, but we have more work to do.
He lamented the total number of gun killings in January alone.
50 so far. 50 plus. 1,500 people just gunned down, and it's just become so normalized. We're just not going to allow that.
Once passed by the legislature, churches and businesses okay with guns on the premises would have to post a sign to that effect. President Biden huddled with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy on the debt ceiling. McCarthy calling it a good first meeting.
We walked out saying we would continue the discussion, and I think there is an opportunity here to come to an agreement on both sides.
White House spokeswoman Karine Jean-Pierre says the president is all ears.
What is his plan on the budget? What is his plan to really deal with what is at the top of the minds of the American people? How are we going to lower costs for them?
The Federal Reserve slowed the pace at which it's been making money more expensive. The bank raising its key interest rate 0.25%, the smallest increase in months. Chairman Jerome Powell noting an easing of inflation.
Shifting to a slower pace will better allow the committee to assess the economy's progress toward our goals as we determine the extent of future increases that will be required to attain a sufficiently restrictive stance.
Delivering a setback to the bank's effort to cool a hot jobs market, the Labor Department reported that job openings rose to 11 million in December, up from 10.5 million in November. A federal judge in Milwaukee ruled that the wrongful death lawsuit filed by the father of a man shot and killed by Kyle Rittenhouse during a protest in Kenosha, Wisconsin in 2020 can proceed against Rittenhouse. He gunned down 2 men, was acquitted in 2021, claiming self-defense. You're listening to ABC News.
Inside a dimly lit room at the LBJ Library in Austin, Texas, a motion sensor triggers a recording, and a voice fills the room.
Suddenly, there was a sharp, loud report. A shot.
It's the voice of Lady Bird Johnson, the wife of Lyndon Johnson.
He wants to get out. There is no way out.
Lady Bird recorded her entire experience in the White House. Hours and hours of tape that almost no one has ever heard. And those tapes, they end up rewriting history. This is a story about one of the most influential members of the administration, even if we never knew it.
I wrote out for Lyndon about a 9-page analysis of what I thought his situation was.
From Best Case Studios and ABC Audio, listen to In Plain Sight, Lady Bird Johnson. Available now wherever you listen to podcasts.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Sunday morning at 6. Tune in each week as John exposes industry myths for truth seekers looking to navigate their way to financial freedom. What he reveals may surprise you. To learn more about the show and how Creative Planning can help you build a custom financial plan and portfolio tailored to you and your goals, visit creativeplanning.com/radio. Don't settle for outdated advice. Your money deserves better, and so do you.
Independence means everything to the people with intellectual and developmental disabilities that Red River Human Services supports. It's the foundation of their mission, the emotion in their work, and the reason they exist. Your gift on Giving Hearts Day creates independence and brings joy and dignity beyond measure to the people Red River Human Services supports. Please consider a gift on February 9th. Visit givingheartsday.org and search Red River Human Services.
Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 112 on this Thursday afternoon. 9 below outside, but sunny skies. A northwest wind at 15 miles per hour is producing a wind chill right around 31 below. And we are in a wind chill advisory until noon tomorrow. And I'm meteorologist Justin Storm. I'm here with Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, and I'll just go right ahead, open up the phone lines for anyone that wants to call in with questions during our show. 701-293-9000 is that phone number to call in. And anything you want to talk about, discuss, you want to go back to a topic we've covered in a previous segment, feel free to do so. Bring it up. The show is just as much yours as it is ours, and we'd love to hear from you. But we were going to touch into the LRC a little bit and kind of a little peek into the month of March as we were expecting. And if you've been following along on our LRC calendar up on our website, WDAYradionow.com, we have that listed out for what the month in a general is going to be looking like. And I believe we put this up back in, was it early or mid-December, Dean?
I think it was early December.
Early December. So it's about 2 months ago we published this, and we're expecting a big cold spill in the middle of the month, as well as the storm track to get a little more active. And our models now, at least our longer range models, are starting to pick up on that with a few systems that'll be tracking in the middle of the month. And it's fun to see that because the models have just been so quiet over the last couple of weeks. We have the one storm system that went well to our south with that ice storm down in Texas. There's another system that'll be tracking to our south in the beginning of next week. That's on our calendar. That's being deflected to our south. But these next ones, it looks like that cold air is retreating a little bit up into Canada, thus shifting the storm track back into the central and northern portion of the United States. And our models are now suggesting a couple of possible decent systems tracking close to our area in the middle of next month. So we'll see how they evolve, but right on schedule with the LRC as it continues to cycle through.
Yeah, they are right on schedule. I really think these are going to end up south of us again. I hope I'm wrong. We need the moisture. I know it's early, and it's like, well, why do we need the moisture now? Because, well, a couple of things is that the moisture content in the snow that we have is not that great. But when this melts, it's going to soak right in. The frost depth is not that deep because we had this blanket of snow before the bitterly cold air really knifed in here in December. So that's good there, but we still need some more moisture content. And if we get missed by these storms in this third cycle, I think the fourth and fifth cycles where these have been passing to our south are going to affect us a lot more in the fourth and fifth cycle as the jet stream does start to retreat north. At least, fingers crossed, that's the way it should pan out. Because the LRC is not, if this continues like it is through the spring, which it's not supposed to according to the LRC, but if it did, we would be in some pretty bad drought conditions as we head into planting season. But again, that is not the forecast according to the LRC. At least not in eastern parts of the Dakotas into Minnesota. Now you go out into the western part of the state, you go down south into areas of South Dakota, Nebraska, western Kansas. Things might not change for them, unfortunately, a whole lot as we head into the spring and summer. That's not good news for them.
No, it's not. And callers, hang on for just a second. We'll get to you here in just a minute. I see we got Rick on line one. But as we turn the page into that fourth and fifth cycle, of the LRC in the spring, there are a couple of big storms that we're expecting to come through here, and we're probably going to be looking at one of those typical springtime systems in that first or second. I think it's right around the first week of April. We'll probably see one of those classic, blizzards on the backside, severe weather on the front side. And I think the severe weather is going to miss us. That maybe, Iowa, southern Minnesota again, but through the central U.S. more likely. Right. But our calendar, if you're following along, they have been a couple days off. We posted this. The LRC has been averaging just a little bit longer, about a day to a day and a half longer. So these systems, which we need to put a revised one, we just haven't done it quite yet, but we're into our third cycle. We can average this out more, so we'll be looking for an updated LRC forecast to come out. But let's head over to the phone lines now. We got Rick on line one, and Rick had a question about the LRC. And welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. Rick, what's going on?
Well, thanks for taking my call. Actually, I've shot an email or two to Dean. I'm from Detroit Lakes, and our Rotary Club is having a fishing derby on the 11th of February, and that's the day I'm mostly concerned about. And specifically, my question is, I'm looking at a bunch of other forecasts that I've seen, like on the WDAY Storm Tracker and another one on my phone, and then I compare that to the LRC that I saw on your website, and it seemed like you were kind of talking about colder weather and and everybody else has a pretty favorable day for us on February 11th. So you guys have been talking long term, but I'm thinking a little shorter term right now.
Right. And the 11th is not this. Are you talking about the poles and holes, right?
Yes,
Rick?
sir.
Yeah. So, and we're getting that is that's about the time where that second punch of Arctic air will be coming in. It won't be this bad. It won't be this severe here. But it looks like following a storm system that should ride up through the Great Lakes next week, we should start to see that cold air drain back in as we head towards that poles and holes weekend. At least that's the way it looks right now. And according to the LRC, Justin, if I'm not mistaken, that was about the time where that second cold snap was going to be pushing down from Canada. If it wasn't then, it was shortly after the 11th.
Yeah, there is that potential cold snap for that weekend that he's talking about, and it comes down to what is the more dominant storm that comes through. There's one that we're expecting around the 7th or 7th to the 9th, so that would be before you go on your little trip. If that stays to our south, which it's looking like it's right now, that cold snap is likely not going to push in until the following week of the 13th through the 18th is when that may drop behind the second system.
Yeah, but Rick, feel free to email me early next week, or you can call in and then we'll give you a more updated forecast. But that's the way it looks right now.
Real good. Well, thanks for the information. I really enjoy your talk about this weather forecasting. It's really interesting to me. So
thanks Rick.
So much.
And don't forget our LRC special coming up on March 7th on the Jay Thomas Show.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks, Rick.
Bye-bye.
And I think it's about...
anyone else got I was going to say, anyone else got questions, feel free to give us a call, 701-293-9000. And I think you were alluding to our break coming up here.
Yeah, it's about ready for break, and we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to have a ag trivia question, and it involves Major League, well, let's just say Major League Football and basketball as well. I don't know how that ties in with ag, but we'll have a trivia question on it. All of that coming up after the break.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. I hate the struggle of tough, greasy messes on my stovetop. So I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
When I'm frustrated with stubborn bathtub soap scum, I just freak, wipe, and I'm done.
Mr. Clean Clean Freak delivers an innovative cleaning experience with a powerful deep cleaning mist that starts working on contact to break down tough messes in seconds.
Just freak,
wipe, done.
Ew, the toilet sneeze. Every flush spews bacteria onto surfaces that little Bobby touches and then spreads to the light switch and everywhere else in the house. Yuck. So Dad uses Microban 24 to help stop the spread. It's the only sanitizing spray with a long-lasting shield that keeps killing 99.9% of bacteria on surfaces for up to 24 hours. Be confident you're protecting your family with Microban 24. Don't just sanitize it, Microban it.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wolf, president of Laney's. Are you considering replacing your furnace this winter? If so, you need to consider Laney's, the only company in town that offers a lifetime guarantee. Our guarantee states that if anything ever goes wrong with your furnace, Laney's will fix it for free, day or night, no cost to you. That's Laney's legendary lifetime guarantee.
Annual check and service required. Call Laney's today for more details at 237-0543.
It's just great.
I'm North Dakota Soybean Council Director Rob Rose of Wimbledon. The North Dakota Soybean Council reminds soybean farmers to use soy biodiesel to pump up your bottom line. Biodiesel is a high-quality, clean-burning renewable fuel produced from domestic resources like soybeans. Biodiesel blends up to 20% can be used in any diesel engine. Most importantly, biodiesel increases the value of soybeans by over $1 per bushel. For more information about biodiesel, visit biodiesel.org.
Non-attorney paid spokesperson. Could your house go into foreclosure? Are you behind on your mortgage payments? Foreclosure Protection Services can help save your home as they specialize in foreclosure assistance. If you're behind on your mortgage payments, being threatened with foreclosure, have been denied a loan modification, or been the victim of a predatory loan, call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-926-1701. Their network of attorneys and their agents are available to speak to you now. Call Foreclosure Protection Services now at 800-926-1701. That's 800-926-1701.
Don't you hate when you forget something important? Grandma's birthday, the password to your old laptop, or picking up little Timmy from hockey practice? It's okay, we've all been there. Let us take one thing off your mind this year with Giving Hearts Day Scheduled Giving. Starting January 2nd, you can give to one of hundreds of charitable causes before the big day. You can even pledge to volunteer if that's your thing. Visit givingheartsday.org and help someone in your community today.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. And we'll talk a little bit ag here because we have a little ag trivia question as well. So I was reading an article on cash rent and how high this has been. In fact, if you're a farmer and you participate and you do the cash rent, give us a call. I'd like to know what the advantages for you in particular or disadvantages for you in particular. I know a lot of it depends on market prices and everything like that, but was reading an article that there was a farm in Illinois that was doing cash rent for they did $660 per acre, and the average across the country is $243 per acre when you're doing cash rent. So this farm in Illinois, $660 per acre. That's crazy.
Must be some good land.
Very good land. And was doing some research on that. What do you think for Cass County, for here in the FM area, how much do you think it goes per acre for cash rent?
Ooh, is that a question for me or the listeners?
No, that's for you.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go $180.
130 wow. Is, and the highest in the state is Richland County at 147.
So is this something you pay per month?
It's usually on a yearly contract. Yeah. So
Dean, here's a question for you, because we're turning into such great farmers doing this show, and I have all my 562 hours of farming simulator hours logged. Say we rent some land and go do a little farming this year. I'm sure some listeners wouldn't mind lending us a little
I was just going to say, where are we getting the money? Man, $243 an acre, just on average. And speaking of, now this wasn't cash rent, but owning farmland, I was reading this today as well. Owning farmland is kind of becoming the thing, like the thing to do if you have the money. And a lot of people have been buying up farmland. In fact, and here's our trivia question. So NBA star and NFL star and a couple of their friends both went in and purchased some farmland, 100 acres of it, off into eastern Iowa. Who are those two stars, one in the NFL and one in the NBA? Who were they? 701-293-9000. That's a tough one. They purchased 100 acres for $1 million off into, I believe it was eastern Iowa. They purchased some farmland. So now they own farmland, and like I said, this article said, hey, you know, it's kind of the in thing to do if you have the money now. A lot of, I don't want to say celebrities, but I guess you could call them celebrities or sports figures, you know, gobbling up farmland. Not a lot, but, 100 acres. So who are those two people? You can win a rain gauge if you have those two individuals, the two high-profile individuals. One is from the NFL, one is from the NBA. If you can name one of the two, we'll give you a hat. If you can name both of them, we'll throw in a rain gauge. 701-293-9000. So it was kind of interesting to read the article, and it's like, and they said about the one person, they said, well, even though this I'll give a hint. Even though this quarterback never made it to the Super Bowl this year, at least if he's throwing a Super Bowl party, he can brag and say, hey, I've got some farmland in Iowa. So again, who are those two?
And even if you, I was going to say, but sorry, Dean, I mean,
go ahead.
Cut you off there. We're referring to the two people from this article. There might be other people that own farmland, so don't get mad at us if we say, no, that's not who we're talking about. Yeah. We're referring to this specific article that had this ag topic that we're talking about.
Yeah, but there was there's one person from the NBA, one from the NFL, and the one from the NFL almost, this is the only hint I'm giving, almost made it to the Super Bowl this year. Almost. They were in the playoffs. No, it's not Kirk Cousins.
Oh.
Sorry if you were going to go there, because I wouldn't consider that they almost made it.
I mean,
Well, they got into the playoff. They got further than the Bears did. So, I mean,
the Bears.
That's good news. So,
Poor Dean.
Yeah, and also if you've already won a prize, you have to wait 30 days to win today's prize as well. We just got that from our producer. So, again, the trivia question.
And we have a log, too.
Yeah, we do. So the trivia question is, these two high-profile professional athletes just purchased 100 acres of farmland for $1 million in eastern Iowa. Who are these two high-profile players? All right, we've got a caller coming in here. And caller, how you doing? What's your name, and what is your guess for today?
I believe it's Ertz in Burrow.
You got Burrow right. So we'll give you a hat. We'll give you a hat.
Oh.
Yeah, we need both of them for the rain gauge. So I'm going to put you. And what's your name?
It's Craig from Holly.
Craig, you're close. Burrows is the one. The other one is from the NBA. So I'm going to put you on hold. We'll get your information, and Jacob will take care of you. So again, we've got the question is, these two high-profile sport athletes actually purchased 100 acres of farmland in eastern Iowa. And, well, we already have one of the names, Joe Burrows from the Bengals, and the other one was from the NBA. Which athlete from the NBA purchased farmland with Joe Burrows? So, again, 701-293-9000. Kind of it was an interesting article to read, and interesting to find out, that these professional athletes are starting to purchase up farmland. And we'll look at the one kid that, in fact, he purchased the farmland in Iowa too. He was the big gamer, and didn't he purchase a bunch of farmland out in Iowa, Justin?
Yeah, he was. What was his name? I'm trying to remember what his YouTube channel was called, but he's one of the guys. He streams himself playing video games on YouTube and Twitch, and he plays a lot of the farming simulator game. And he built up such a large audience and got so many views on his videos that he was able to purchase, I believe it was $1.2 or $1.3 million worth of farmland in Iowa. And now he's farming in real life from his start from farming simulator on his computer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So again, one more time with the trivia question. These two athletes purchased up 100 acres of farmland in eastern Iowa for $1 million. Joe Burrows was one of them. The other one is an NBA personality. Who was that? If you know the answer, 701-293-9000. And it's about time for break. When we come back, we're going to kind of highlight our guests that we're going to have on tomorrow as well. He's another storm chaser who's been all over the country and had his videos again on Good Morning America, the Weather Channel, all that. So we'll talk about that and more coming up right after the break.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Don't miss Ashley's President's Day preview sale going on now. This week only, beat the crowds and get early access to the best President's Day deals, including 10% off trending styles throughout the store and online. And with special financing options available for all budgets, refreshing your home has never been easier. Hurry into your local Ashley store or visit Ashley.com to shop and save today. Only at America's #1 furniture and mattress store, Ashley. See store or Ashley.com for details.
Weeknights starting at 6:30, your only live local sports show right here on WDAY Radio with Primetime Sports.
Just somebody a little bit less financially stable would have been cool.
I wanted him to hit it to someone less fortunate than me. That's what I want. Signed, Jane.
You can afford your own home, really? And you caught the ball? What is wrong with you? You sent your kids to a nice college and you caught the ball? Really? Good
All
for
I'm
you.
saying is the kid at his first baseball game ever in Seattle last week, that was a cooler story. I'm over this.
You own your own vehicle and you caught Judge's home run ball? Oh, good for you.
Yeah, anything else? Ridicule me a little bit more.
You went on vacation last year for a whole week and you caught the ball. Good for you.
Did he travel out of state for vacation?
Yes, he went to Mexico to an all-inclusive resort.
Yeah, we're done. I'm over it. It's too much. Too much.
Primetime Sports, weeknights from 6:30 to 8.
Jody here with Shea West in West Fargo. Winter gives us a chance to really revamp our spaces, but we are open year-round. A lot of product is arriving daily, and we're plump full of pink for Valentine's Day. Guys, you've only got a little time left. Hurry in and get your honey the gift she loves from Shea West. Fresh-cut flowers and houseplants don't hurt either. Don't forget to stop out today and see our new Ivy Room. Workshops and private rentals are up and running. Book yours today. That's Shea West Garden Center under the water tower on the corner of 40th Ave and Cheyenne Street in West Fargo. Your unofficial, official Valentine's Day headquarters. Can't miss it.
Hi, I'm news correspondent Bob Woodruff. In 2006, a roadside bomb struck the armored vehicle I was riding in while reporting from Iraq. I sustained a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. The military term, "got your six," means I have your back. And that day, our service members had mine. During my recovery, I learned firsthand the challenges facing our service members who return home with injuries. While serving, their fellow service members always had their six. Now that they're home, it is our turn. We started the Bob Woodruff Foundation to make sure that the camaraderie and support they relied on in the military carries on, and we need you. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative and help us be there for impacted veteran service members and their families. They've had our backs. It's time we have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org. That's gotyoursix.org, using the number 6.
Fair Meadow Nursing Home is a 42-bed skilled nursing facility in Fertile, Minnesota. They pride themselves on the small-town, close-knit home environment feel it provides its residents. And Fair Meadow Nursing Home is now hiring for the following positions: CNA, LPN, CNA therapy aides, dietary cook, dietary aide, and housekeeping aides. Fair Meadow Nursing Home and Assisted Living is committed to providing seniors a rich, meaningful, and dignified life, focusing on physical, social, spiritual, and emotional needs in order to provide the best life journey possible.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. We're missing a person today. Bridget is normally with us, but she is on assignment, and she's actually going to be one of the guest speakers down at... can we tone down that music there, Jacob, please? She's actually on her way down to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, leaving Devil's Lake for agronomy on ice. And boy, I'll tell you what, that sounded like a great time up there. And we did have a winner while we were on break. I believe it was Eric Nelson guessed. Yeah, the two people that, the two high-profile people that bought that farmland, Boston Celtics Blake Griffin and Cincinnati Bengals Joe Burrows. They purchased, along with a couple other of their friends, 100 acres of farm for in eastern Iowa for $1 million, which, I mean, for those two, that's not that much.
And, I mean, they could have got it by themselves.
They could have, yeah. And even the article I was reading, they said the couple of pundits said that, hey, you know what? That's not a bad price. That's not a bad price at all for the farmland that they got. So I'd be curious of what they're going to do with it. I'd be very curious.
Yeah, they're just going to rent it out and take a yearly check from it, I'm sure. And, I know that there's people up in this area that do this. They rent their farmland, they own it, they don't farm, they have someone else farm it. And I know a few people that do this as well, but I've never gotten the answer from anybody. And I want someone to call in and, educate Dean and myself on this. How does it all go about? How does it work? Do you just charge someone so much money per year? Do you take a portion of whatever they make from their harvest? Is it worth doing? Should other people, if they have farmland, should they consider renting it out? Give us a call, 701-293-9000. I'd be very curious to doing that, or maybe even the opposite side. Is it worth renting land from someone else to farm on? Let us know.
Right. And what are the benefits? What's the positives? What's the negatives on it? If you have done cash rent, has it been beneficial for you in the long run, or has it not been beneficial? We'd love to hear from you. 701-293-9000. Other than that, Eric Nelson, again, congratulations. He was the winner on our trivia question for today, and we're running low on those rain gauges. We're going to have to save most of those now as we head into spring. Can't really use them right now, but come springtime,
no, you cannot.
We will. We will be able to. So, what else do we have to touch on here, Justin?
Well, we got all sorts of fun things to take a look at, and we don't have Bridget, so there was a couple of things I was going to ask her about these ag topics, but we didn't get the information on it quite that. But why don't we just kind of, tease on that forecast, because we had mentioned that it's going to get nicer into this weekend, and we're going to see pleasant temperatures returning to the valley finally.
It is, and we're finally going to see, I'm not calling them spring-like temperatures, but I'm going to call them above normal, because temperatures normally this time of the year, upper teens, to close to 20, and we'll be eclipsing that as we head into the weekend, where temperatures will rise up into the 20s as we head into Saturday. In fact, Saturday temperatures upper 20s to near 30. I think we'll stick in the upper 20s due to the cloud cover. And then as we head into Saturday night, a cool front swings through, could trigger off a little bit of light snow. Not looking for much out of that, but that will usher in slightly cooler air as we head into Sunday with temperatures back into the mid-20s. And then most of next week, we'll have temperatures above normal, especially we're looking at Monday being probably one of the warmer days. Good shot will hit lower 30s. A couple of our models trying to push 40. That's pushing it with the snowpack that we have. But I think right around 30 or low 30s has an absolute shot at it. And then as we head into later next week, 20s. And then depending on that storm system around the 8th and 9th, where that tracks and how strong that is expected to pull down some much colder weather as we head into the following weekend, which will be right around the 11th or so. And I believe we've got a caller on the line. Is that right, Jacob? We've got, is it Blair? We've got Blair on the line. He's got a weather question. Blair, go ahead. What's your question today?
Are you there?
Yeah. What's your question?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so I didn't really have a weather question. You were just talking about ag land, and Steve goaded me into calling. He texted me, so I'll throw him under the bus. But just to let you know, I mean, why do we rent the land? Well, we really can't afford to own everything we farm. Most people can't.
Okay.
And so it gives us an opportunity to, grow our farms by not having to own it. And then obviously it helps other people who own the land, make money off it. So for them, it's probably an investment. For us, we're looking at, trying to, make some more money, be able to farm more acres. And then the cash rent thing, there's some sharecropping going on where you take a percentage of the, your crop at the end of the year. There's many different ways to do a contract. Cash rent is the cleanest. And everybody's cost of production is different, every farm. And so you just have to decide if it's worth that risk. And wherever you farm, it kind of works itself out where you have this high price rent, probably is areas that maybe they get a lot higher yield, right? They can raise a longer day corn, longer day soybeans so that they get higher yield. So then, everything is kind of, I don't know what the right word is, cyclical. It kind of follows itself as the market bears. So a lot of land selling for pretty high right now around our area for sure.
Yeah. So if commodity prices are high and you're getting a lot of money per yield, is it beneficial to cash rent then?
For sure.
Okay.
Yep. Because it's hard because I said, every number is different for different farms, but say you take $150 cash rent versus what you might have to pay to buy that land, you really can't afford to buy it and make any money off it because all of your payment and interest would, take all that profit
right.
to buy the land. So a lot of the guys that are able to buy this high dollar land, I think have the money to put down to get that payment down to where they can cash flow that. And a lot of it is just guys that have really worked hard for a long time and have the ability to do it.
Interesting.
So are there any downsides to renting land at all that you can think of?
Well, if you own it free and clear, your cost of production is a lot less because you're not paying yourself rent. You will have to pay the taxes, the land tax. So there is that, but it's definitely really the only way you can have probably enough to make a living. And again, that comes down to everybody's different on what they need to make a living. But I would think at this point, to me anyway, it seems, you need about 2,500 acres per person in a farm to make it comfortably, I guess. And I don't know if comfortably is the right word. Farming, the dollars are so much. I would say that most people would be shocked when they realize how much money goes through a farm. And as inflation happens, those acres maybe need to go up, to continue to make the same potential profit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, it totally does. I want to ask you another question just because we have you on the line here real quick. What if someone, it's no equipment, they just want to get into farming, see how it is, see if they like it. Maybe that's not the right way to put it, but they want to rent land, they don't have equipment. Is there a way that they can rent equipment from somebody, or would they, just have to kind of bite the bullet, go out and buy some cheap stuff?
Right. It's pretty tough, but I mean, there's so many different ways to farm. I mean, a 5-acre vegetable farm could be very profitable, right? Or there's just different sizes of farms, and I think that's all good.
Okay.
If you want to get into like large scale production agriculture, you probably want to team up with somebody or work for somebody to be able to rent their equipment, maybe to go on those acres that you're able to rent. It's tough. Family is first and foremost, at least for me anyway, and even I know a lot of my neighbors around me. And so to have somebody just come out of, I don't know, not nowhere, but somebody come and want to start farming, there's definitely ways to do it. There's guys that don't have heirs to pass it on to or have kids that aren't interested. But finding those, working that out so that everybody can make it is awfully tough, which is unfortunate because I just think there's so many opportunities in ag right now. And so I think if you're looking to do that, I would look to do a precision farming degree or, work for a co-op and get to know local farmers and maybe look for it in that way,
Awesome. Well, Blair, hey, thank you so much for your phone call. I'm guessing you farm around the area, correct?
Yeah, about 65 miles northwest of Fargo.
Gotcha. Okay. And
appreciate the phone call.
Yeah, be sure to tune into our LRC special on the 7th. We'll be going through month by month what to expect in terms of moisture and whatnot for our ag community. So that's always a good show on March 7th, starting at 2:00.
Yep, that sounds good. I'll be listening.
Excellent. Thanks for your call, Blair. Appreciate it, and thanks for listening.
All right. Yep. Have a great day.
All right, you too now. There we go. See, love hearing the a professional's point of view on that too. So amazing. Really good. And
maybe we should go into a vegetable farm, Dean.
Like you said, it's what?
We can just rent a couple acres.
That'll
we can
work.
manage that.
I think so. You've got your experience with your farm simulator, and I'm old, so I can give knowledge. So there's good.
I think it would make quite the duo there on the farm.
There's a good combination. So what we're about up on break time right now. When we come back, we are going to talk about. I promise we talk about our guest for tomorrow. It's I worked with him down in Nebraska. He's a storm chaser who's been all over the country, and he's not quite as big as Pecos Hank. Pecos Hank is pretty darn big, but he knows Pecos. He said he's a character, great guy. But we'll talk about our guest for tomorrow, and we'll retouch on what we're expecting in the weather for not only this weekend, but for into next week. All of that coming up right after the break.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and catch the bus. Text and miss your stop. Wait. Text and be late to work.
Sorry, I'm late.
Text and work. Text and pretend to work. Text and act surprised when someone calls you out for not working.
Who, me?
Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey.
Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Your broadcast home for Moorhead Spud Sports is WDAY Radio, AM 970 and FM 93.1. Tune in each week as Larry Knutson covers all the excitement of Spud Sports. Our Spuds broadcast schedule can be found at WDAYRadioNow.com. That's WDAYRadioNow.com. And click the Sports tab. Moorhead Spuds Athletics can be heard right here on your home for Spud Sports, WDAY.
Hey, it's Bonnie Mastati from Bonnie and Friends. Join us weekday mornings beginning at 5. Coming up on our next show, we'll be talking a little ice fishing. Steve Carney Outdoors will be joining us. We'll talk about community ice fishing spots, how to go about catching fish around those areas using different strategies. And Big Game James McCarty will be in with your Pick 6. Get ready for that. You can win a $25 gift certificate to Fargo Billiards and Gastropub. All this and more in the next Bonnie and Friends beginning at 5 a.m. Join us.
After yesterday's Fed announcement, grains are mixed with beans rallying and the NASDAQ soaring. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Risvet with this closing market. The tech sector led the way higher today on Wall Street after Meta announced a stock buyback plan and on optimism that the Fed is close to a pivot from its more hawkish to a more dovish stance, despite its argument to the contrary. The dollar firmed up off a fresh 9-month low set earlier today, and crude oil did a turnaround from early morning losses to post some gains. Now, the grain and oilseed complex started the day higher with positive money flow overnight. However, corn and wheat prices struggled to stay in the green most of the day, while soybeans continue to hold gains on the Argentine drought and Brazil harvest delays that are currently translating into solid export demand. Soy meal traded just below the new contract high set earlier this morning, and that's contrary to the export sales last week that were down 46% from the previous week, and both Brazilian and Argentine meal offers are far below those of the U.S. Exporters sold 62.7 million old crop and 6.4 million new crop corn bushels in the week ending on the 26th. That's along with 27 million old and 7.1 million new crop soybeans. In the mix is 4.4 million bushels of grain sorghum and 5 million old and 1.2 million new crop bushels of wheat. Let's get a look at the closing commodity numbers. March corn down 5 3/4 at 6.75 1/4. March beans up 14 at 15.34 1/4. Bean meal March up 7.10 a ton at 491.80. Bean oil March up 15 points at 60.94. Wheat Chicago March up 1 1/4 at 7.61. Kansas City March down 3 1/2 at 8.80 3/4. And the March Minneapolis wheat that was down 3 1/4 at 9.22 3/4. Live cattle February up 132 at 159.75. Feeders March up 267 at 185.92. And the February lean hogs, they're up $1.37 at 75.35. The NASDAQ is up about 400 points with the Dow down about 150. For the American Ag Network, I'm Richard Ristvet.
And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. Thanks for rejoining us. 1:51 on this Thursday afternoon. Still pretty cold out there. We're at about 9 below zero with a wind chill around 30 below, and a wind chill advisory does remain in effect until Friday afternoon. We will be looking at warmer temperatures flooding into the valley for the weekend and at least into the first half of next week. And by warmer temperatures, I mean temperatures in the 20s to low 30s. So it's going to feel pretty nice out there. We're going to mix in clouds over the weekend, but we'll still see some sunshine from time to time. And not to say that there won't be breaks in the clouds where we do see some sunny conditions, but not too bad, even with the cloud cover. If we get temperatures in the upper 20s near 30 on Saturday, low to mid 20s on Sunday, the wind doesn't look to be overly bad, except for maybe the morning hours of Saturday. You'll see some gusts to 25, but those will lighten up throughout the day. So it is shaping up to be a fairly nice weekend, and I think it'd be great. Get outside, bring the kids sledding, go snowshoeing or something, go to the lake. It'd be great for snowmobiling. I know my family's going snowmobiling this weekend, and I'm just going to be sitting at home. I'm going to be relaxing, but that's a nice weekend for me.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So just taking a look at our, this is amazing. So the LRC cycle, and we were talking about, I know on our calendar for next week you had, I believe it was the 7th, 8th, and 9th circled, or 6th, 7th, and 8th, and everything is running.
Yeah, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and it's about a day and a half longer than what we have circled.
So it'd be more like the 7th, 8th, and 9th, or 8th, 9th, and 10th. And sure enough, now our model's picking up. I'm just taking a look at our latest models, picking up on a pretty big storm system for later next week. Unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you want to look at it, it is going to our south. And then I believe it was Jim that called earlier. Was it about the poles and holes contest? It does look like colder air flooding in for that following weekend. Nothing bitterly cold, but definitely colder. So at least that's the way it's panning out right now. And that would follow right in accordance with the LRC cycle. I believe it was right after that storm around the 7th, 8th, and 9th. There was a potential cold snap on the LRC calendar. So falling right in line with that.
And I think that the more dominant cold that's just kind of hovering a little bit further north up into Canada, I think that one will start to fall down the week after that weekend when we get another storm system that comes through. I think that'll be the one that pulls down the real cold, but
the one right around
we'll see how cold it is.
Right around Valentine's Day, and then there's another one after that. Wow. Boy, it's amazing to see these systems now come in to the picture on our long-range computer models when the LRC had it 2-3 months ago. And
back
I love
December when we made it, and in reality, back in November is when we were first putting this thing together. So it's just it's so fun to watch this evolve, and
it really is
end up playing out.
Yep. And so tomorrow's guest, Nathan Moore. He's a storm chaser from down in Nebraska. I worked with him when I was working down in Nebraska, and I believe he called up to our show about a year and a half ago. He was out storm chasing, and he was giving us kind of a play-by-play. He's been all over the country. He lives for this stuff, and in his spare time or whenever he gets time, he definitely goes out and storm chases. He's seen some of the bigger ones. I believe he was in the Pilger tornado one in northeast Nebraska, where Pecos Hank was talking about that one, which I believe that was a record for the fastest tornado. And
fastest documented tornado.
Fastest documented tornado.
Yeah, it was a satellite around. There was 2 of them. I think that was the twin EF4 tornadoes. Is that correct?
I believe there might have been a third one along with that as well, a weaker one.
Yeah, there might have been. And one of them ended up getting slingshotted around the other one, and they did a bunch of calculations, and I think that they timed it out about 90 some miles per hour, the speed of it.
So we'll be talking with Nate about that tomorrow, and he'll tell us about his history of storm chasing, kind of some of the scarier moments that he was in, and he's got some good stories. He's a good guy, and again, we'll have him on tomorrow for our guest on Weather and Ag in Focus. And in fact, if you are a storm chaser out there, if you're listening, you're a storm chaser. Gary, with the founder of the LRC and the founder of Weather 2020, he has a specific forecast already out for storm chasers in particular. So and he will forecast for you the hot spots, the dates, because a lot of these storm chasers, they actually work. Well, of course they work, but they work full time and just do this as a passion on the side. And so Gary will put together a forecast for you on the hot spots and the dates. So, you can plan your quote unquote vacation time around that and kind of go to these hot spots of the country that are expected to get hit by severe weather. So if you're interested in that, just shoot Gary an email, weather2020.com, and he can take care of that. But just an amazing. The LRC is just an amazing tool, and I keep getting emails on it about people asking why other meteorologists, not just in our area, but just across the country, why don't they use it? And the easiest answer is that they don't know how to use it, and that's not a knock on them. But unless you know Gary or have studied his research, you don't quite know exactly how to forecast using the LRC. But it's not an easy tool to use, but once you learn how to use it, it's a huge huge positive in terms of forecasting that's in your belt that nobody else uses. And there's probably only about 20 meteorologists, if that, across the U.S. that use this, but I'm sure that will be changing over the next few years, 5, 10 years, however long it is. I keep telling Gary this is going to be the next generation of weather forecasting long term, because and we see it unfold right in front of us when we put this calendar. That's why we put. How many meteorologists are going to put a calendar out 3-4 months in advance and say, here's some key dates to look for. Watch for storms. There's going to be storms somewhere near us in this time frame. You know, like Jay Thomas, he's like, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Good. Do it. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then he grabs his little sheet of paper after he writes it down, and he's like, let me see if you guys told me about this stupid storm coming. What do you mean we're getting a foot of snow? Oh, yeah, it looks like you did tell me about that date. So,
but this stormy cycle
has been really fun.
This stormy cycle that's coming through mid-month, that will be back. Mark your calendar, in about 50 days, give or take a day here or there. It'll be back in about this year's cycle is about 48 to 50 days. So this stormy part of the cycle that's coming up here mid-month, that will be back in about 50 days, which would put it mid-March, end of March, early April. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I think that these, in particular, there's two setups that I'm starting to get a little more diving into. You know, the last couple of weeks have been pretty hectic here at the station with all the things going on, but I think that there's going to be two really big major outbreaks this year, probably the two largest of the season that will come this spring. So I'll be looking forward for more details on that coming forward as well. And we'll have to see.
Go ahead. Yeah, we'll pinpoint.
I was going to say, we'll pinpoint where we're thinking those are going to be in the time frame and who is likely to get affected by that. But I definitely think that it's going to lead up to be the two largest setups of the year. We'll have to see how big they actually get, though.
Right, and we'll pinpoint that on March 7th on our spring and summer outlook. But I think it's going to be an active weather season for spring. That's for sure.
Yeah, and you know what the other fun thing about the LRC is you know, even those that know how to use it, you learn more and more year after year by using it, because the little things that unfold and you're like, okay, so if we're going from El Nino and we're switching to La Nina, this is what happened the last time. Well, we can remember that for the next time, and it just makes the forecast more and more accurate, and the more that you use it, the better you get at it. And it's fun that it's a never ever-going learning experience with it as well. But I think that's going to wrap it up for Weather and Ag in Focus today. We thank you for listening. Be listening tomorrow. We'll have more on Weather and Ag from 1 to 2 tomorrow.
970